Young world. So I came across something very interesting. Very interesting. So there's this book called Behold a Pale Horse. I heard about this book like 20 something years ago. I think I read it like 10, 15 years ago, way back before like I really was up on a lot of other stuff a long time ago. Since forgot about it. I heard somebody mention it the other day. I think it was Doggy Diamonds or somebody talking about it. So I went back and read it. Downloaded the audio book, listened to it while I'm out driving my truck. And I was just like, damn, I reopened my eyes to certain stuff that I totally forgot about. But one specific thing I was listening to, they talk about this thing called Executive Order 11490. Executive Order 11490. And this thing was interesting, man, because look, this basically, this was talking about something called Mount Weather. Is the code name Mount Weather. What it's really called is um, Western Virginia Office of Control Conflict Operations. And this is in just outside of Bluemont, Virginia. So what this place is, there's no real official documentation of what this place actually does. There's said to be a whole parallel government down there. One thing that definitely I think was admitted to being is a database that carries, and this is back then like 20, 30 years ago when this book was made, but they were saying then that keeps files on about at least 100,000 citizens who call themselves patriots. This whole thing is designated. This is the main hub, the main dumb. They call them DUMBs, deep underground military bases of what they call. This is the main hub of all that, where all this certain type of information is stored. It's not to fight terrorism or outside entities. This is to keep an eye on civilians who are overly patriotic to the point where they might actually retaliate against the execution of the New World Order, of the New World Order actually being implemented, admitted to, said to be, and all that type of stuff. They're the ones that would stand up, like what happened with in January 6th at Washington D.C. with the whole Trump thing, with the Trump supporters going out there and trying to take over the building. You know what I'm saying? Another thing I found interesting about this dog, because they were talking about these underground military bases, and they said most of them are in Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, and Maryland. And I always thought since I was young, I always thought there was stuff going on underneath the ground. Not to mention this whole they clone Tyrone thing. That's a whole separate story. But I've been saying this, and then even more as I got older. If you live in the Lehigh Valley in this area, Pennsylvania, Allentown, Bethlehem, Easton, every now and then a crazy huge bang will happen, like an earthquake underground, and just rattle your whole house type stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's never reported as an earthquake or nothing like that on the actual news. There's a few times this happened to me. A lot of times you can hear just regular bangs around here out of nowhere, and there's no real explanation for them. Sound like bombs going off. But a couple more in particular, I remember shaking my whole house. And you'd be like, damn, what was that? I'm thinking this is probably them building and working on these underground military bases. But the main thing about all this article, this Executive Order 11490, it's the monitoring of citizens who they feel are overly patriotic and will fight against the dismantling of the Constitution and will fight against the implementation of New World Order. So this sounds like I'm just going out on a limb here. Before I said I thought Trump's main agenda was to come in and cause confusion and division. I said that on a couple videos before. That was like I think the main reason they put him in there, to cause division and chaos amongst the groups within, like just groups within the society, to have more conflict, to keep people from being able to work together more, just causing. Basically, when Trump came in there, a division line was drawn in between every group there is. Even some groups even turned into subgroups and have lines drawn between them based off of certain specific criteria. You know what I'm saying? So not just bad enough to be white and black. Now if you're white, are you a LGBTQ white? Now you're split from the regular whites, and on top of that, are you a LGBTQ some other political thing white divided from the regular LGBT and the regular white people, like, and so on and so forth. This is the most divided I think probably America has ever been. But was Trump put in there to lure out these what they consider to be overly patriotic citizens, to round them up and keep databases on them. It said this database they can be accessed through any one of the 96 deep underground military bases. Like I said, Mount Weather is the main hub, but all this information is plugged into all these different bases. All this information can be accessed. They said there's like a million different metrics that they keep track of characteristics of these people. So that's basically saying they know what you like to eat, what you like to do. They know who you call. They know your sexual orientation. If you have an undercover sexual orientation, they know if you out here doing certain crimes. This is the type of stuff that is not really, and even if it is criminal, the type of stuff that don't get prosecuted. I told y'all before, they definitely keep track of stuff that they know about certain crimes that are going on. There's certain things they know for a fact that they monitor and been watching and looking at that they could pick people up for right now if they want to, but they don't, because it's part of a bigger type of program. It ain't about you committing a crime and just being arrested and charged with a crime. They're monitoring a bigger point of human behavioral, the behavior of a human mind state is what's going on. Creepy stuff like monitoring people in the bathrooms, public restrooms, stuff like that, like stuff that will never be mentioned in public, but monitors the creepiest stuff you can possibly think of. You know what I'm saying? So they have like a million metrics of stuff that they keep track of, characteristics and behaviors and habits of people. So I said, was Trump put out here to wean out, to lure out these? And also they said within these groups, within these patriotic groups, like what you would consider MAGA and stuff like that, there's a bunch of plants, a bunch of traders inside there who are sharing the information of the people, you know what I'm saying, who are part of these organizations, so the government knows exactly who they are, where to go. Just like Grandmaster Jay with the what was it, the NFA movement, not fucking around, or whatever it was called, the black movement. Just like the Grandmaster Jay dude, which I'm sure he was doing, getting all kind of people, and this was going on exactly the same time as the Trump thing, and he was working with Trump, the Grandmaster Jay dude. That's on film, you know what I'm saying, there's proof of that. It seems like, and I said that also before too, that's why I was saying to people, you better be careful being down with stuff like that, because it didn't make sense they would let this man go out here saying what he was doing what he was doing with the guns and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, they locked him up eventually because to of course cover the operation up, they gotta lock him up in the end so it looks like it was a real thing. But the damage that has been done in the meantime when he was doing that, anybody who wanted to be down with that, who contacted them, who was associated with them, showed up to demonstrate with them and stuff, all them people went into a database. And here's the thing, in the book it says everybody that's in this database, they're going to run down on them on a holiday, most likely Thanksgiving. A holiday. He said most likely Thanksgiving, but they don't know for sure, but it's going to be on a holiday. But Thanksgiving is the best holiday because everybody ate, everybody's with their family, everybody's full, everybody was drinking. So at the middle of the night, most people, more than any other night, are going to be drunk, passed out, just out of it, not 100% of their functioning ability in different ways. You know what I mean? So I was like, damn, that makes a lot of damn sense. And plus when you look at like what Trump is right now, because you got to understand, after the January 6th thing happened and all the stuff they keep bringing up on Trump now, all these different charges, in order, this is how they probably feel, in order for you to still be following Trump publicly, voting for him, sending him money, in their mind they're saying if you're still willing to stand next to this dude with all this stuff, you are most likely what they call one of these overly patriotic people. The type of person, and I said this before too, I said one thing about Trump that is the one reason why I was like, Trump is more dangerous than anybody, whether it's real or not, whether he's a plant or not, whether it's fake or not, whether it's a script or not, whether it's whatever or not. The one thing that Trump really is, with no objection, is he is a person that has people who will get up and do physical stuff for him. He's a person that has followers who will get up off their butt and physically go outside and physically do stuff that will move for him physically. A lot of people got followers, a lot of people got voters, a lot of people got people under them, but he's one person who are amongst not many people actually who will have followers that will actually get up and go out and do something physically to follow him to prove their loyalty. And that's not with many people. There's no other politician you could find that could call people to arms to actually get up and go out and do stuff. And people say the whole thing, a lot of people say January 6th there was plants there and it was orchestrated and stuff like that. Yes, I believe 100% it was. The main people who was making it happen and doing the main stuff were these people, these traders and these plants on the inside who were showing the people who were the real people who went there on that really showed up because they really believe in something. They were there to show them the way of giving them the opportunity and the platform to act up or not. Like, this is so they could follow suit or not. So now that you went down there and did all that and you followed suit, now you're going to be in this database. And Trump is still in the picture. They keeping him this possibly. This is just some other stuff I'm thinking. Are they keeping him in the picture still? They keep these people still rounded up so they can get all the people involved who are still following him, so they can live with him as these overly patriotic people. Is it a setup? Is that the role that Trump's playing? You know what I'm saying? Is it all a setup so he can keep luring out more and more people who are overly patriotic, quote unquote, as they say? So they said when he round these people up, they're going to be partially could be, I think it said rehabilitated. Some of them who can't be rehabilitated or saved are going to be put into mental hospitals under the diagnosis of nationalism, I think they called it. Hyper-nationalism, something like that. A person that is too committed to with their country, or there was some kind of way they worded it. But I was like, yo, this makes a lot of sense when you think about it. It really does. Because there's been a couple of times when the whole thing with Trump, and we see the way they come at him, the establishment and on the news, and there's always all kind of stuff. It has been a little bit hard to decipher what's really going on. A person like me believes that all of it's a stage. You know what I'm saying? It's real hard to convince a person like me that anybody on that platform, the president, the vice president, all them people in that area, in that category, it's hard to convince somebody like me that is not all a stage. Biden, Trump, Obama, Clinton, but all of it. You know what I'm saying? But if there was anybody who could possibly fool me, besides Obama, when he first got in, I was fooled with Obama for like 2 weeks, I think. I kind of lost, it kind of made me lose my train of thought of knowing all this stuff is fake when Obama got in there, because he's black and the whole thing. So I was just, for about 2 weeks, I was caught up in that. Like, then I snapped out of it and woke the hell up. Like, well, hold up, this is a goddamn, this is game. You know what I'm saying? It took me about a week or two to wake up. I snapped out of that shit real quick. Like, let me not fall into this, because no, this is some BS. So besides that, if there's anybody who I would even sit here and have to even think twice about, it would be Trump. Because there is always that little thing in the back of your mind with Trump where it's like, oh yeah, of course he's down with the whole thing, he's part of the system, but there's always that little thing in the back of your mind that makes you think maybe they really do hate him. Maybe he really was down with the agenda at first and split off. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he really won this thing on his own to begin with and got in there on his own. There's always that maybe thing with Trump, because Trump is so different than everybody else. So that's one thing I see about Trump. If there is anybody or was anybody who I would be fooled from even for a second, and maybe I have to think harder, be like, oh, this is not, but he's the only one I would sit there and even have to think twice about, just for the fact of the stuff he's done and said and what he stands for. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I'm going to, of course, probably side with my intuition of nowadays, the strict intuition of yeah, of course he's part of it, and of course it's some BS. But you just never know. Just the little bit of thing I'll give to Trump, you never know. He might really be out here on his own. You know what I'm saying? Really trying to do stuff on his own, and really just, whether he was down with them from the beginning maybe and did something they didn't like and they turned on him, or maybe he just came in on his own from the beginning and made it too far so they got mad. There's always that little thing I'll give to Trump. You know what I'm saying? Just because, but nobody else. Everybody else we know is totally 100% bought and paid for, front, back, up, down, left, right, top to bottom. You know what I'm saying? But that's about it, man. I feel like anybody who's really Trump supporters, like the people that really are willing to show up somewhere, go out, do stuff, and I think you really need to be careful and really watch your back, man, because the closer we're getting to this new world order stuff is becoming more and more apparent. Anybody who got eyes can see it. It's been going on for so many years, but it's getting to the point almost to where it's like everything is going to have to eventually be announced. You know what I'm saying? Companies are merging. Eventually you're going to have Facebook merging with Google. That's going to be the big merger when Facebook and YouTube merges. Google, that's when you're gonna know for sure that this thing is really in motion 100% for real. Because we already know all these same people own the same couple companies, but when it's going to be a public thing, an admitted thing, when they're going to announce that Facebook and Google are together, that's when you're going to have to know for sure that time is really about to run out for sure, for real. You know what I mean? But yeah, just that's why I say it seems like they're keeping him in the picture in the position he's in, just keeping him there enough to know so he's still seen, so he can be followed, but with so much scrutiny so they can say, if you got the nerve to still keep following this joker, then you're going to go down with him, is what it looks like to me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not sitting there, I'm not saying like you should or shouldn't. I'm not saying none of that. I'm just saying this is what it appears to be. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, it's called Executive Order 11490. Codename Mount Weather. Look that up if you get a chance, or read that, listen to that book, Behold a Pale Horse. They talk about all kind of different stuff, the AIDS virus, how that was made and put out there, and just different, a whole bunch of, a couple different little things, man. So yeah, man, that's about it.